What up, Kane fans? Welcome back to the regularly scheduled Tuesday night Cafecito and Kane show. Thank you guys for being here. Norman, as always, very loyal and early with the dono. Before I even hop on, it's nice to see that a color comment already. Thank you very much, as always. Yeah, we will get into Carson Beck and the quarterback situation now, but I'll leave that on so I don't forget. But before I begin, please, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. They all help. I'll take a sip of my cafecito while you guys do that. Cheers. Delicious. All right. First matter at hand. Hot topic on social media yesterday, the day before, whenever it happened, but I think it was yesterday. It was announced that Jaden Harris, now former Miami starting safety, will be transferring to Georgia. Obviously, Jaden had high hopes for the season. He did not play well. He will tell you that himself. He did not play well at all. Had some stuff he was dealing with too, but, nonetheless, I'm not going to make excuses for him. I don't think he would want me to make excuses for him. He didn't have a good season. But he will be heading to Georgia. I, for one, am actually very happy for him. I think that's a good move by him to go to an SEC school, a loaded secondary, where I think he's going to receive fantastic coaching. He'll get all healed up and he'll be ready to go for next season. Hopefully make some plays and he'll get back on that track that we thought he was on heading into the season. But yeah, I'm very happy for him. I hope he goes out there and murders it. Been following the kid since he got here 3 years ago. Had a chance to interview him. Great young man. Had an unfortunate season, but hopefully he goes out to Athens and just kills it. Now, here's the flip side of it. If he goes up there and kills it, I'm going to be pissed because obviously something went wrong, and that would fall on the coaching staff. But time will tell how that goes. But Georgia must see something in him. Maybe a position change. Maybe they could see him, playing the slot, playing the boundary corner. Who the hell knows? But yeah, that's what happened with him. So good luck to him. I really hope he goes up there and represents and kills it. But Norman, yes, thank you for the $20 dono. Carson Beck would be a high-risk take. Excuse me. Elbow injury takes long to heal. If he isn't ready for spring practice, he will get buried in the depth chart. He may not be able to stave off competition in the fall. Man, I don't know about that. It's not like it's a loaded quarterback room right now. Love Luke Nickel. He may be, as far as who's in the room right now, Luke Nickel probably would have the best chance to start coming in as a very highly touted freshman. But that's the problem. He's coming in as a true freshman. Yes, he's coming in. He's graduating early, coming in and taking part in spring practice. That's huge. He has an extra 4 months, 5 months to learn the playbook, extra 4 to 5 months to hit the weights, all that stuff, and prepare. We've seen freshman quarterbacks come in and do well right out of the gate. True freshmen, especially in recent years. But it's not, it doesn't always happen. There's examples of it being successful and examples of it being not successful at all. So I think going into the season with Luke right out of the gate as a true freshman, starting against Notre Dame, that would not go well. If your first 3-4 games are cupcake opponents, maybe I can be talked into it. But now with a schedule like that where you face Notre Dame game 1 and Florida game 4, both at home, I just can't do it. So I don't think there was, that being said, I don't think there's anybody Carson Beck would have to stave off, honestly, other than maybe Luke. If he comes in and looks amazing in the spring, which could happen. I hope it happens. That would be great. But Carson Beck would be somebody that even if he came in with the injury and he's not really able to participate much in spring, maybe limited, maybe he can't really start throwing until late spring, early summer, I think he would still be the leading guy in the room. He would be an upgrade, in my opinion, over what we have. Because really of his experience, he is athletic. He is a bigger guy. Pretty good arm. Decent accuracy. He's played in a million big games. And people have made the argument for Quinn Ewers Carson Beck. We'll get to Quinn Ewers as well. People have made the argument for Carson Beck that, yeah, he didn't have the best skill position guys to throw to at Georgia. They were okay. I'd agree. I think he would have an upgrade as far as talent around him. But then again, Georgia, they're going to recruit. They're going to get they're going to get portal guys. They'll replenish and they'll be just fine. So it might be a slight upgrade at the skill positions here. We'll see who else we get at receiver. Running game. Our running game is going to be nasty next year. I have no doubt about that. And he would be playing behind a great O-line. But I don't see Carson Beck as a high-risk take. I really don't. As long as the elbow injury, it takes a little time, but if it heals up fine, I think he'd be okay. I don't know how the season would play out, but if you told me he's our starter, I would be like, okay, I at least feel good about game one, if that makes any sense. To start off the season with a couple of strong opponents before you really know what your team is, to have a veteran quarterback like him makes me feel a little bit better. How will the full 12-game season go? I don't know. But that first game where, defenses usually flourish and offenses really take longer to get going, probably going to be a low-scoring game. Please see Notre Dame, Texas A&M from earlier this year. Low-scoring game. I think our game against Notre Dame is going to be very similar. So having a guy like him under center that can calm everybody down wouldn't be the worst thing. Is he my first choice? No. He's not. He never has been. Is he my second choice? Probably not either. But you could do a lot worse than Carson Beck. If he ends up being the guy, I'd be like, okay, we took our shot at Mateer. We looked at other guys. It just didn't work out. And then that's who falls in your lap. If that's who's available after exhausting other options, I don't think you can let that go. Him and Ewers are the only ones left that are in the playoffs. Yes, that is correct. The only ones that may transfer. Vito, your other earlier comment, John, why would we think Carson Beck would come here when Georgia's loading up on receivers and players? Well, we are trying to load up as well. Like I said, our running game will be nasty next year. Great O-line. As of right now, you still have Shannon Dawson, who at least had a hand in developing, maybe developing is not the right word, but, polishing off, Cam Ward's game a little bit, smoothing out some edges that needed to be smoothed out. Whatever you needed to do that turned him from a 4th-round pick to maybe the first overall pick. You do have Shannon Dawson, who I also thought did a great job with the play calling for the most part. So there are things that, there's connections there. Miami was heavily trying to recruit him out of high school. And also, famously, if you follow him on social media, he's dating one of the Cavender twins who plays for the women's basketball team. So there are connections there. There are reasons why he may jump ship. Now, he already, I think, verbally declared for the NFL draft. I just don't think he's officially submitted his paperwork as of yet. So it could be a situation like with Cam that he flips from the NFL to a college team, maybe here. Now that he's verbally come out and said that he's thinking of going to the draft, I doubt he goes right back to Georgia. You know what I mean? That's just my thought. Hope you got good news on our quarterback and DC search. Unfortunately, it's been a bit of a slow news day. Not really too much going on there or really anything new. FSU keeps signing players, boo. Yeah, they kind of have to, Fresh. If FSU wants to even field a team next year, they have to go to the portal and grab people because they don't have anybody of note. They're kind of forced to dip into the portal. Is there any chance Carson Beck would come here? And if so, would you take him? Again, like I was just saying, if he's the best option, then you got to take him. You can't. This is a situation where you can't wait too long. If the A+ option that you wanted is no longer there, or if you you can't hold out too long for an option like that because spring is going to be here before you know it. And if a C plus B minus option comes by, you know, an average to above average guy that can at least settle everybody down, not turn the ball over, manage the offense well, and manage it effectively, I don't think you pass up on that. If basically a safe pick comes up, Carson Beck, Matthew Sluka, somebody like that. Quinn Ewers to me would be above average. That would be like, yeah, you're going to have to throw down some change, and that's a guy you're going to have to flip away from the NFL as well, because he's playing very well in the playoffs right now. He's made some really good throws, especially in that last game against ASU. He threw the one interception, but really I thought that was more a great play by the secondary. He just threw that like a fraction of a second too late. But for the most part, Ewers has been very good. If it's him, again, I haven't heard us connected to him as of yet. Of course, that can change. This sort of thing changes day to day. I'd be very happy with a guy like Quinn Ewers. But there are rumors that he's, that he might go to Notre Dame after the season's over. That would suck because we play them first. So let's see how that unfolds. But if he's the best guy or one of the better guys, it's getting to the point where you got to take somebody, unfortunately. So once Mateer came off the board, it was like, okay, there's guys out there, but it's a little more slim pickings. You're going to have to win a recruiting battle or an NIL battle here with somebody. And the thing is, you cannot play the waiting game for too long. Noah Thomas went to Georgia. That one hurt. I kind of wanted him. I'm not going to lie. When I sat there and looked at Zachariah Branch, obviously Zach Branch gives you the speed and the explosiveness element and the return game element. Noah Thomas gives you the size while also being pretty quick, pretty fleet of foot for being such a big guy. I was like, give me one of either. I really don't care at this point. Both of them are gone now. Georgia's loading up on the outside. So yes, I know that. Wait, John, as I understand, Georgia is trying to keep Beck. Yeah. Look, they got weapons too. I'm not gonna lie. Could bringing him here help us attract another weapon? That's the thing, So we'll see. Let's see. My guess Carson Beck isn't coming. Yeah. I mean, I'll admit them locking up Noah Thomas, that would look pretty attractive for him to come back. Let's see. We need a better defense and offense. Yeah, no shit. We've already added to the defense though, and I've loved the pieces we've added to the defense. That secondary, I mean, they're one safety away from being set. In fact, with the secondary they have right now, you get the right DC, they might be good where they're at already, but get another safety and I'll feel a lot better. Let's see. We need depth to beat Notre Dame. You know what we need? We need to be running the ball consistently to beat Notre Dame. So, John, who do you think Mario's willing to get in the portal QB-wise? Well, I don't know how public it is. I'll wait to see if the other shows mention it, but there was a name that I was hearing that I think his 5-day window has already passed. So he would have already had to hit the portal, for the playoff teams. Jaden Mayava was another one that, hey, I'd kick the tires on him. He turns the ball a little bit too much for my liking, but that was another name thrown out there that, depending on who you ask, it was weird. Depending on who you ask, we were interested, or it's like, oh, I have no idea, that it doesn't sound like they're even talking to him. I haven't heard that name thrown around. So you hear like one of two extremes. Mayava's an interesting one because he's very athletic. He can beat you with his legs. Big kid. Showed great flashes in the bowl game when they came back to beat Texas A&M, but also made some dumb decisions, in my opinion. Made a few bad throws. So he's like hot and cold, but is good enough that he could make up for it. You know what I'm saying? Mario needs to stop acting like the program's money is his money. I like that. Listen, spending money in the portal, that's not going to be an issue. I wonder if Mayava was one. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I'm honestly, Star Florida. I'm honestly wondering if he was a name. I'm gonna say he was. I'm gonna say they at least considered him at one point. Quinn Ewers is a possibility. I'd have to believe he is a possibility because again, the options are starting to dwindle a little bit. You guys may have a point, with what Georgia's acquired. That may be the thing that at least keeps him from coming here. Again, you bring him here, you can attract more talent to add to the outside. Milrose, and that's an interesting one. Yeah, Milroe would be another guy that he'd be like a safer bet. Again, a lot of big game experience in the SEC. His passing, in my opinion, declined last year. But I was talking to somebody about Milroe, and the thing with him is he played in an offense this year that wasn't really suited to his abilities. I think they will try Milroe, same situation like Cam. Let's see. I don't know, man. I don't know if Mario's trying to make like a splash with this QB acquisition. That could be why, Mendoza wasn't brought in, because if they wanted Mendoza, they could have brought him in. That would have been a no-brainer. Now, after not getting Mateer, it's like, man, Mendoza would have been like, we'd be feeling okay right now. I'd be feeling great about that. But that was like the B+ option, which would be great. You give me that level of player, I'm good. But they got to get somebody soon. I think Mario wanting to get like a splashier name is the reason maybe they let Mendoza walk, is the reason why they're not pouncing on Matthew Sluka right now. I think they're trying to land somebody with a bigger name, more cachet, like a Beck, like a Milroe, and maybe Ewers. Again, I'm not confirming or denying that they're talking to him. I would believe they have to, well, I know they're not supposed to talk to him. He's not in the portal, but you know what I'm saying? I have to believe they're at least like interested. But Milroe, back to him, his passing really declined, and he was in a system that I don't think was well suited for him. He would go to a system with Shannon Dawson that I think if he can rein in the short, quick passing game, like the bubble screens, the quick slants, if he can throw those a little bit better, a little more consistently, I think he could do very well in this offense, actually. Because look at the line he would be behind. Look at the running backs he would have. Look at the time he would have to throw. And remember, he'd be going up against ACC defenses, not SEC defenses. Bit of a difference in competition. It's not the difference that, ESPN would lead you to believe. But yeah, the defenses and some of the teams aren't quite as NFL talent filled that he'd be facing in the ACC. So I wouldn't be too upset about Milroe at all. And he's hands down the best running quarterback in college football, in my opinion. Milroe is a guy that if you blitz or if you whiff on a tackle and he gets in the open field, he's gone. He's that kind of game breaker. So yeah, I would more than kick the tires on Milroe. If he's at all interested, I'm like, yes, come down for a visit. Let's talk. Let's get this done. Let's see. John, the tall receiver from A&M, has he committed? If you're talking about Noah Thomas, yeah, it looks like he committed to Georgia, which is why I'm not saying that eliminates Carson Beck as a possibility, but it's going to make it tougher. But Yeah, him going to Georgia, that one stung a bit. They knew that they had to really up the talent in that receiver room, because this past season they didn't really have anybody that you were scared of. They didn't have a Brock Bowers at tight end this time, which really, I mean, Bowers carried that offense back in 2023, in my opinion. So yeah, kudos to them. They're loading up. They know what they're doing. But the question is, are they doing that to try to reel Ewers or Carson Beck back in? Are they gonna go with this other kid? I don't know. We'll see. Norman, again, thank you again for the $10 dono. Rumors swirling in SoCal that head coach Riley going after Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Nailed it that time. I've been practicing Iamaleava. Even though Maeva hasn't officially declared for the portal, SoCal fans saying Maeva runs hot and cold. That would be a Riley move. That would be a Lincoln Riley move for sure. I mean, he's helped coach a couple of number one picks already, and friggin' Iamaleava, that's a talent that he could really mold. How would the team do with him? Who knows? Because that guy's teams usually don't play any defense. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I agree that Maeva does run hot and cold, like I was saying before. He can make a big play, but he's also a little turnover prone. You would have to fix that if you bring somebody like that in. I also need smart physical middle linebacker. Let's see who we got in the room. Cam Pruitt, Popo, Adarius Hayes. You got, is Chase Smith? I think Chase Smith might have one more year. I'm not sure. You still have Bobby Washington right now. Yeah, I would try to go out and get another guy. I would try to get an impact guy. If someone that can come in and be like, I don't know, I'm blanking right now. But yeah, someone who can come in and provide that kind of an impact. Ideally, somebody who can play the middle. I like Popo. I think he could be even better on the outside. Adarius Hayes can play the other side, and then you have a smart veteran in the middle, and let's go. I like that linebacking core a lot. And the thing is, Hayes, Popo, and Pruitt, they're young. They need to get on the field. They got on the field a little bit. I think it helped them, but they need to get on the field a lot this year. This is going to be a big offseason of development for those guys. If Tennessee quarterback goes to USC, it creates another marquee spot to go for Ewers. That is true. Kind of like the coaching carousel they talk about. One guy moves and that causes other guys to move. Same with quarterbacks. Need an older, smart linebacker to guide these young dudes on middle linebacker. Yeah, I agree with you. Don't disagree with you at all. If they're going to bring in a linebacker, I would want an impact, a big-time impact guy, like future NFL guy. I remember a couple of years ago, was it when Manny? I think it was Manny's last year. We were going after that kid. He was at Syracuse. I can't think of his name right now. That would have been a huge get for our defense. I don't know if you guys are remembering who I'm talking about. I cannot remember his name right now for the life of me. It was either Manny's last year or Mario's first year, one of the two. But if you guys can remember who the hell I'm talking about, go and get me a guy like that. That'll round out the linebacker room, and we're set there. Defensive line. I know Damon Wilson is a name that's been shared a lot on X today and yesterday. I remember him coming out of high school. Really good talent. Really, really good talent. But I think we're pretty set. We got so many guys at defensive end. If you're going to add another guy, maybe D tackle, but even then, I mean, you added David Blay. I think you're good numbers wise, talent wise. You're a little young in the D tackle room, but I think we're okay. I think we're solid with what we have. Wilson's already going to OSU. Okay. Well, there that went. Let's see. I saw a comment and I wanted to answer it. Where is it? Vito, who's your first choice at quarterback? Right now, I mean, this is if he hits the portal. I think Ewers would do really well here. Not everyone agrees. I like him. I think he'd do well here. Gronowski's another one that it depends on the day. It depends on this, on what day you ask me. Some days I'm like, you know what? I think an FCS guy could make the jump. And look, Gronowski, NFL teams are looking at him. So it's not like the guy's a scrub. However, if you're going to go after a guy like that, I think Matthew Sluka kind of gives you a similar skill set. He's a big dude, tough to bring down. We'd run that like power spread, power running scheme. So, you know, I don't know. I think FCS is way too big of a jump, even for a guy like Gronowski. And Gronowski, I like him. I think giving him time to cook, he'd be really good. So no QB and one more wide receiver. Nope, no QB yet. We whiffed on all the good QBs. Whiffed or didn't want him, however you want to look at it. I guess, you know, if you want to look at that as a whiff, yeah, that's a whiff. Either way, they're not. Gronowski. Oh, you know what? I like that. I like that landing spot for Gronowski, actually. That is that fits him well. Native Kane, money talks. Yeah. Did we pursue any quarterbacks? Yes, Native Kane. That I can tell you we did. Am I going to say any names? No. But yeah, no. We went after guys. And let's just say money is not the reason we lost out on Mateer. That is not the reason at all. I think the relationship won out there. Let's see. Whoever DC needs to also coach defensive back and has his own defensive back staff. I just want somebody who can develop players. I don't care if they're a DB coach. I don't care if they're a D-line coach. Because somebody like Jim Leonard is he'd be nice because he coaches, his specialty is DBs. Coached multiple top defenses at Wisconsin. Young guy. I would take him in a heartbeat, but that's one option. But then you got a guy like Clint Hurt who's more D-line based. He coaches the D-line. I think he could really like mold that D-line. And he'd be a good culture guy. You know what I mean? And I think he could develop. Let's see. Mateer's, I don't think wasn't a culture. Mateer, I don't think wasn't a culture fit at Miami. I think Mateer would have done great here. Yeah, Mateer. Yeah, he'd be amazing for the DBs. Triple. Ayo, what's going on, man? Rumors have it a team in the Big Ten is already offering $8 million for Ewers. Do you think Miami actually pay that much for a quarterback? Man, I think you'd be surprised how much they would pay. Let's just put it that way. I don't think money is a reason we lost Branch either. I'll say that. I don't think money's a reason there. I think the Branch brothers are trying to raise the price tag. That's my opinion, just looking at it from the outside and from things I've heard. Money wasn't the reason there either. But would we pay $8 million for 1 year of Quinn Ewers? I don't know, man. These prices are starting to get pretty steep, but it's quarterback. And look at what paying $1 million, $2 million, whatever it was for Cam Ward. Look at what that did for the team. Look what that did for the program in 1 year. So you never know. They might be willing to invest if Quinn Ewers really is an option. Let's see. No, I hope not. Yeah. No, that's those prices are getting steep and they're going to get worse until they put guardrails on the portal. Value is priceless. Georgia's passing game is trash. And they took both top wide receivers. Yeah, Native Kane, but they're also one of the top programs in the country. Georgia's pretty damn good. They know that they're like, I think they were an impact player on offense, one or two impact players on offense away from competing for a championship. Is it possible that Mario has decided on his DC, but will wait till the end of the NFL playoffs? So our DC could be coming from the NFL. I don't think he's decided on anybody, but yes, a lot of seasons in the NFL haven't ended yet. A lot of teams' seasons because they're about to go into the playoffs. So that could be one reason why this is being drawn out a bit. I think Miami tops out at $6 million for a quarterback. Even that is a bit much. I would agree with that. I think that sounds about right. Again, no expert knowledge here. That's just my gut feeling. Can't believe Georgia picked up Jaden Harris. Yeah, well, I was talking about that earlier, 904. They think he fits somehow. Maybe it's just for depth. Maybe, whatever. They see something. They see something there. Somebody asked me about Rashada. Any chance we go after Rashada? I don't know, man. After everything that went down where, he had picked Miami a couple of years ago coming out of high school and then flipped to Florida. It depends if, Mario's willing to forget that. I think he would for the right guy. And Rashada looked all right at times. He's not bad, which is why it surprised me that Rashada was leaving Georgia, because I thought he really had a chance to play next year, a chance to start. I guess they really like that backup at Gunnar Stockton. Is that his name? Let me look that up really quick. Let's see. Yep. Gunnar Stockton. Man, yeah, he was a highly touted recruit. Yeah, I don't know, man. Would I at least talk to him, kick the tires on him? Yes. I would. Just because, again, the options are starting to dwindle a bit, but they have to bring in somebody. We Muschamp or Schumann. Yeah, Muschamp was one of my top choices. If you're all thinking Leonard for DC is now being considered for the Colts DC. Yeah, we're going to have to throw quite the bag at him. Sluka's the cheap option. That would be the advantage of bringing in a guy like Sluka, or bringing in a name of that level. You bring in Sluka, he's not going to cost you a whole lot. That frees up more money to invest in the defense, on a skill position guy, whatever. And again, the more I think about it, that is not an option I'm mad at whatsoever. Because if you watch his tape is pretty solid. I don't hate it. I know Holy Cross, that's a different level of football, but it's a fun tape to watch. Then you watch his first few games at UNLV. I know they kind of kept doing well without him after that. But I look at those 3 games where they played a couple of teams that to me were like equal competition at the time and did well. He ran the ball a lot. He was in an offense that they didn't throw the ball too much. It was a lot of him running it and, and quick passes, things like that. But I thought he commanded the offense well, and just physically, he's a big physical runner. I like that kind of weapon behind our offensive line. But he's a cheap option, and you can basically have him try out for you in spring. Bring him in, have him sign. He plays in the spring, and if he looks like shit, hey, you can hit the market because somebody might be available. Maybe Rashada's available then. Who knows? But Sluka would not be a bad option. Now, there is the thing that no college team really wants to touch him. I don't know if that's the thing, but nobody has picked him up, and he's been in the portal for a long time now. He's been in the portal longer than anybody. So that is a bit alarming because he's pretty good. I remember seeing him early in the season and thinking, the UNLV got somebody here. He's a solid quarterback. And then all of a sudden, the NIL thing happened. And look, I don't blame him for what he did. When you work, do you expect to get paid? I expect to get paid when I work. So in this era of NIL, if they promised him something and they just didn't pay him, hey, sorry. Sluka would be a good get. Yeah. They've blackballed him. Yeah. You know what? But for a team like Miami that really does their homework on a player, I'm sure they're checking him out. They have to be. They're exhausting all options. It wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being Carson Beck. We'll see. USC QB with the portal. If Miami don't go after him, a QB before then. They just gotta bring in somebody, man. You cannot go into the spring with what you currently have. That would be insane. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they bring in somebody, some type of veteran. Vito, Mel Tucker or Banks? Mel Tucker would be great. That'll be another one. But yeah, still a lot of questions, still a lot of names up in the air as far as the DC and the quarterback search. I made the prediction that by the Sunday night show coming up that we would have both. It's only Tuesday night, so that absolutely could still happen. I mean, 5 days in college football offseason portal time. I mean, that's an eternity. A lot can go down. Would you say we need one or two QBs? One or two QBs. That's a good question. I think you need at least one, like I was just saying. I think you only bring in two if there's like one really cheap option and one, more higher price option. But like really cheap. It would have to be like, again, somebody like from FCS level, like a Poff last year. And then you bring in the guy that's like really going to compete for starting snaps. It helps to have bodies in that room, also veteran bodies. And you're going to come in with, right now, as it stands, Judd, Luke Nickel, Emory Williams. Am I forgetting somebody? I think that's it. As far as scholarship guys. Derek Jimenez says I would take two QBs. I mean, if you can, yeah. Clemson has 5-star QBs just waiting, no leaving or nothing. Yeah, Dabo's got a machine in place. Carson Beck scares me. He seems injury prone, coming back from injury like that soon. Yeah, I like that emoji. Yeah, that's no, it's definitely a thing to be concerned about. But I don't think it's too serious of an injury that people are like not going to touch him. Vizina, yeah, Chris Vizina, I don't think played much this year at all, actually. And he was a 5-star kid. Yeah, just sitting, waiting in the wings. That's the culture they've built in Clemson. My thing is that whoever it is Miami's going after would have to be better than Fernando Mendoza. Yeah. Again, I think Mario is concerned with making a very splashy name here, make a very splashy acquisition that the name is like, ooh, okay, yeah. Maybe that's why they haven't grabbed a guy like Matthew Sluka yet. That's what I'm thinking. How much would you offer Sluka? Dude, nowadays, even if it's a mill, I don't think it would quite be a mill. But let's say it is. Let's say it's $1 million. Now, with the prices, man, that's cheap. that is pretty cheap. You still believe that? Talking about DC and QB by Sunday night. I believe it a little less. I'm not gonna lie. That belief takes a bit of a hit with every passing day, but I'm pretty confident we'll have one of those wrapped up at least by Sunday night. If they don't, I will come back on here and say I was wrong. I underestimated Mario's patience / stubbornness because he's done this to me before, and I obviously have not learned. Sluka with no takers, 250. You think he takes 250? I don't know, man. I think he sees the prices that the price tags QBs have right now. I don't think it's a quarter mil. I don't think it's I kind of round it up to a mil. I don't think it's a mil. I think it's probably like mid to high six figures, probably. If I would have to guess, 500K. Yeah, something probably even higher than 500K, but I don't think it's quite a million. I'm confident Mario going to get a name nobody thinking about. I think Jacoby, I think that's what the DC is going to be. I think it's going to be a name, unless it's Clint Hurt. I think it's going to be a name that no one's really thinking about. Because nobody, I don't know about nobody, but most fans, when we hired Lance Guidry 2 years ago, knew who the hell he was, if we're all being honest here. I had heard of him, but I was like, Lance Guidry, all right, let me do my homework here. I remember once I did my homework, I was like, okay, is that Marshall? He was going to Tulane, did well again, beat Notre Dame, blah, 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 Yeah. I remember once I did my homework, I liked the Lance Guidry pickup, but, we know how that's turned out 2 years later. I think that's what's going to happen with the DC hire. I'm guessing you're talking about QB, Jacoby. I don't know if you're talking about QB or DC. I think that's what's going to happen with DC, unless it's Clint Hurt. 500 for me. Negotiate against his optics. Yeah. 904 Hurricane. Yes, thank you. I wanted to mention this. I kept forgetting. Purdy had the same injury 2 months later than Beck and went on to have that spectacular year at San Francisco. Beck should be fine. Yeah, it's the same injury. I am not a doctor. I don't claim to be. I don't play well on television, but it is the same injury from what I understand, and it's not something, if he has to have a procedure and it goes well, I'm not too concerned about that. It's not like he blew out his ACL and his MCL. That's something totally different. Then I would be like, okay, maybe don't touch him. That's why Mario doesn't get it right. Always going against the fan base when hiring. Yeah. I feel like he does do that a little bit. There's names out there, and it's almost like he pushes against that. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get somebody. No, DC, correct. Okay, yeah. I'm going to go out and get somebody. I'm going to look like the smart guy. I'm going to go out and get somebody that nobody's thinking, somebody that I've done my homework on, I've interviewed and sat with and blah, 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 and we have a good game plan. Yeah. Shannon Dawson also was one that surprised me a little bit. That one has panned out, though. That one has panned out. He's getting desperate by now. You know what? Oh, you're talking about Sluka getting desperate by now. I'm guessing you're talking about Sluka. Yeah. I would have to imagine he is, but somebody said 250 for him. I'm like, no, that's even for his situation, that's too low. Yes. Jorge, thank you. Hit the like button, folks. Yeah, a little bit of a slow news day, but I wanted to hop in, chop it up with you guys like I always do Tuesday nights. But I will basically be on call, especially a week like this where something can drop at any moment, any day. So if something drops tomorrow, my butt's back on here tomorrow. If it's Thursday, my butt's back on here Thursday, and so on. So I'll be on standby. But, I didn't want to miss my usual Tuesday night chop it up session with you guys. But yeah, please hit that like button. Doom. Let me blow up the screen a little bit. That is me with Trump. Yes, it is. That's what I thought. Okay. Thank you, Doom, for that. 151 in the chat. Thank you guys for being on. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Anybody but Notre Dame and Ohio State for the national championship. Yeah, that makes me want to puke, but that's probably what's going to be the national championship game, unfortunately. I see Notre Dame winning their game. I see Ohio State winning their game. I don't see anybody stopping Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith is he the best player in college football right now? You guys tell me real quick. Last question. Is Jeremiah Smith the best player in college football right now? I think he is, the way he's playing right now. Cam was top 3, top 4 player in the country overall, regardless of position. I think Jeremiah's number 1. Yes, an absolute cheat code. best wide receiver on earth. He's the best wide receiver prospect I've seen. I'm trying to remember his college career. I'm thinking of Randy Moss. Vito says yes. I'll tell you what, no football talent burst off the screen like Randy Moss did for me. Like his rookie year in the NFL, what Jeremiah is doing reminds me, Megatron, that's another one. What he's doing, what he did his rookie year with the Vikings in 97, 98, eerily similar to what Jeremiah Smith is doing now. He's really found his groove, especially in the deep passing game. He's just torching everybody. And the dude's 6'3", and huge. He's got an NFL physique already. No talent has bursted off the screen like this kid is doing right now since Randy Moss for me. That was the last one. I agree. Hoping Texas come through. Not getting Jeremiah set Mario back at least a couple years. I don't think it set him back, but it would have propelled the program forward another year or two. Screw not having a defense. If he's on our team this year, can you imagine? Cam wins the Heisman easily. Throws for probably close to 5,000 yards. Jeremiah would have had 800 to 1,000 yards in this offense. And we would have been able to run the ball for days because you have that deep threat. You have to double team him. He's bigger and faster than Megatron was at his age. Yeah, Megatron had that physique as a junior at Georgia Tech. Okay. And he was really good at Georgia Tech. Don't get me wrong. He's Megatron, but he wasn't just mossing people the way Jeremiah is. It's just stupid what he's doing as an 18-year-old. I have no love lost for Notre Dame or Ohio State. Mario will make splash hires with DC and quarterback. Let's hope you're right, man. And more than splash hires, I hope it's the right hire. I hope it's the right QB pickup. At this point, Sluka's not a bad option. If Mendoza decides to change his mind and come on down, I would be ecstatic. I will do backflips and cartwheels on this show. That's a joke. That's not going to happen. He's going to Indiana. I just want the right name. I just want the right person for the job. I want them to come in, run the offense effectively, DC, develop the players, put them in a system that they will succeed because we have dudes, we have players that can play, put them in the right system, and we'll be all right. And this train will keep rolling. But anyway, I'm going to log off. Thank you guys for being on once again. As always, go Canes. Have a good night. I will be on hopefully later this week if some news drops. Take care, everybody.